Hello and welcome to your weekly Fools Rushing episode where we talk all things Swindon Town in a week where we had the highs of beating Sutton and the lowliest of lows losing away at Crawley. And as you can see, we have a full panel of people to discuss the game. So let's start with the man who got married at the weekend. Hello, Craig. How are you?
Yeah, evening, mate. Yeah, I'm a condemned man now, so yeah, just still trying to get over it, but yeah, I'll get there.
And your eyes do not deceive you, ladies and gentlemen. Rich is back on screen. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You know, COVID sucks and all, but hey, it is what it is, isn't it?
It is indeed. Big time Ben here. I'm sure he's going to have plenty to say on the action at the weekend. He had a lot to say last week before it, that's for sure. How are you, buddy?
All right, mate. Yeah, I'm pretty good, thanks.
It wasn't all bad news for everyone associated to Swindon Town. The women's teams at all levels did us proud, and I'm sure Woody's going to have a lot to say on that a little bit later. How are you, pal?
Yeah, not too bad. You all good?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Christian is around as well. How are you, mate?
Hello, I'm muted. Sorry. Hello, how are you? I'm good, thank you.
And we have a special guest on what potentially could be a very negative show. We have got someone joining us who was quite happy with the result of the weekend, representing Crawley. We have Reuben joining us as well. How are you, pal?
Yeah, I mean, I had quite a good weekend, so I can't really complain.
Welcome to Fools Rushing, your first appearance on this particular podcast. I'm sure you were saying before we came on air, you watched back our last episode to see what everyone, in particular Ben, was saying about Crawley before the game, and you've taken a few quotes to comment on.
Yeah, I think I've got about 6 quotes that I'll be throwing in throughout the episode, so we'll see how we get on.
Okay. Well, welcome to all of you. Rich, let's start with you then. After the result midweek against Sutton, the weekend started with so much promise. Everyone was really confident, and it just, I mean, I've calmed down now. I had lots of expletives I was going to use if we were recording Saturday night, but it was just not our day, essentially, wasn't it?
No, exactly. It wasn't our day at all. You know, it was one of those games that potentially could have been a banana skin. It's the one kind of game that after beating teams in the top 8, we would go and lose to someone mid-table, close to the bottom. And it happened a couple of weeks ago when we played Salford as well. We lost at home to them, but some of the other results that we've played, and we've picked up some really good wins, really good positive wins. It seems as if, though, when we do beat somebody like Sutton, who are up there with us, that we all get carried away again. We're like, yeah, we're back in the promotion picture. We're back in the automatic positions.
Yep.
We're putting the pressure on Forest Green, who seem to be, well, at the moment they're winning, but they seem to be, you know, potentially bottling the league again. And, you know, we've got to keep up getting wins. But the problem is, though, it's not plain sailing in this league. There's always going to be upsets either way. And, I mean, I don't want to say Crawley wasn't. It was an upset given the way that we've played this season, where we are in the league. It was a bit of an upset for them, but you know, it's the way this league goes, and the quicker we're out of it, the better it will be. But in terms of the way that we played on Saturday, we just couldn't put a pass together. There was no rhythm in the play. There was no. I mean, we had 20 shots on target. And every single, I mean, it was pathetic. Some of the shots that we had, they should have just been buried. I'd say
JML.
We had three off the line in about a 7-minute spell.
Yeah, I'd say Davison probably had the hardest one, and he scored it. JML probably missed. It was probably miss of the season, but I've not exactly been the biggest fan of him.
And you've been a fan of some interesting players.
Yeah, But him in terms of he's I don't see what anybody sees in him. I don't see what Garner sees in him. People around me on Saturday, they were like, why the hell are we bringing him on? Why are we bringing Jaden Mitchell-Lawson on when we've got Mandela Egbo on the bench, who's got pace and he can actually do something? So it just didn't really make sense to me. I think the substitutions were all wrong by Garner. And, you know, he has made mistakes in the past, but, you know, he does put them, he does fix them. So we've got a 2-week layoff now until Rochdale away. And, you know, hopefully he can fix it. But he's got things right. He's got the right team. We massively missed Louis Reed on Saturday. But, you know, we've got to move on now.
And Woody, it's weird because in recent weeks we've been quite, to an extent, full of praise for certain players, particularly some of the defenders. But then you look at, say, the first goal, and I think it was Ben had taken the still and put it in our WhatsApp chat. It's like the marking was non-existent for the first goal. You could say that's an error, but then you watch what happens. We got ourselves back into it at 1-1, and you think there's only one team going to win this from here, and it wasn't Crawley. And yet they're the ones who went on, and the scoreline suggests, you know, won with a certain level of ease.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we talk about, well, those who follow Premiership football talk about being Spursy. It was a typical Swindon-y thing to do, wasn't it? You know, we played really well on Tuesday against Sutton, and then we go and, you know, I didn't watch the game, but I listened to it on the radio, and it felt like a bit of a hard listen, if I'm brutally honest. I agree with Rich. I think I said, you know, I can't remember what game JML played in, but, you know, I said that he worked his ass off when we finally gave him 90 minutes, but he just hasn't got the quality. And what we need is the quality. You know, we all appreciate a hard worker, but we need the quality in there as well. In terms of man marking, sometimes, and forgive me if I'm going to be a bit kind of blunt here and maybe look like I'm sticking up for the defenders, but we can't forget that, yes, a defender's aim is to mark, but an attacker's aim is to lose their marker.
Yep.
So we've got to look at it that way sometimes as well. I haven't seen it all in motion on Saturday, so I can't fully say whether it was just a case of, was it Conroy and Baldry at the back, or Conroy and Odemeo at the back, or whatever. I can't say whether it was them two looking at each other, not picking up their men, but sometimes the attacker just does the job that they're supposed to
completely.
do. And like I say, I think it's a difficult one to take, and this is no disrespect to Crawley, because at the end of the day they are mid-table, you know, so it's they got nothing to play for, so they might as well, you know, really try and go at teams. And whether they did that or not, looking at the stats of only 30% possession, I'd probably say they didn't. But we can't keep doing that. You know, we've done it a few times this season where we've got a really good result against a team in and around us, and then we've lost to a mid-table side, which in my opinion is almost as bad as losing to someone down the bottom of the table. So yeah, we just something obviously didn't click. Did he make too many changes? Maybe. To the side, I don't know if the formation was any different. Rich, you'll have to probably tell me on that one. You were there.
It wasn't.
I think the only positive that I could really take from the game is that Davison scored, and that's, you know, because I just think that given that the pressure that is on Davison, that half the fan base expect him to be a goal scorer, the other half don't expect him to be a goal scorer because that's not what he is. There is a little bit of an expectation there when he is scoring goals, and I think that's, for me, the only positive I can take from the game. But then, like I say, I didn't watch the game, so it's a bit difficult for me to say whether there's any more after that.
I very much take your point on, you know, the roles of a defender and the roles of the attacker. I think for me personally, watching it again, it's the inability to learn a lesson. And I know that there's an element of luck, and I know that there's what's the right way of saying this fairly? For the first goal, he's lost his man. No one's either the defenders haven't picked up the run, or the midfielder hasn't followed the run. Fine, these things happen. We've conceded because we haven't done our job effectively. Now, the second goal, there is an element of luck. There's a deflection. It comes off the post. Now, me and Joe were discussing this, and we said the thing is, the Crawley man has made a point of then making that run and making sure he's put the ball over the line. But if he can see that happening and developing and score the goal, why are either none of our defenders or midfielders also seeing that and stopping it from happening? You know, they've got the same time to react, but evidently it's worked out okay for Crawley. Reuben, let's bring you in then. From a Crawley perspective, obviously a great result for you guys. What was the take? I mean, we obviously don't see you guys play every week. You know, we'll watch highlights packages and stuff. I was quite critical on WhatsApp and stuff about how I felt Crawley went about it in terms of being at home and not really, for me, asserting any sort of dominance. But ultimately, it's worked, and you've got the result.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really weird season for us, because I think there was 2 seasons ago, I think we only won 1 game away, but our home record was fantastic. And this season it's been a complete opposite. Our away form has been incredible, apart from the 4-1 loss to Port Vale a week or so ago, and our home form has been dreadful.
We know that.
I mean, it's interesting looking at hearing all your reactions, because I think a lot of teams in League Two still see Crawley as this, as a quote from your last podcast, this tin pot club with a tin pot ground, and so that's what I think makes the wins more enjoyable for us. Seeing all these quite funny reactions to losing against this tin pot club Crawley. I think we've even got a flag in the ground that says we're just that tin pot club from Sussex. So we're proud about it. I mean, yeah, we kind of normally do well against the bigger teams. I mean, if you look at what we've done in the FA Cup in previous seasons, beating Leeds, then beating people like you, we beat Bradford at Bradford's grounds, and then we play the likes of Scunthorpe and we lost to them and we've drawn to them. So actually, I think we normally like to play quite well. We particularly like to play our own football of just keeping it on the ground. And I think that's when we play the best. I mean, even this Saturday, our season's been crippled with injuries. The players and the manager, who I know you will absolutely love, have said that they've never seen a season like this with injuries. On Saturday, we had 1 centre-back who was able to play for us. Sorry to say that.
Rich's reaction.
Absolutely worse, that. I didn't realise that.
One of the guys who was in defence is a midfielder. And every single time we see a player on the floor, we know he's going to be out for a few weeks. Because
that was us under Wellens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we because Jack Powell, he came off after 12 minutes, I think it was, on the match on Saturday. Goodness knows how long he's going to be out for. But thankfully, the guy who came on for him scored 1 and basically assisted the other. And our injuries haven't even been like muscle injuries, what you would expect. They've been like shoulder injuries. I think Tony Craig might have broken his collarbone, and it's just weird things like that. But no, people are really happy from the win on Saturday. Our season's kind of over now, really. So we're now just kind of playing for just to see how high up we can get. I mean, playoffs are out of our reach now, and although we mathematically still can be relegated, I don't think that will happen.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it was interesting because you have got like I say, your season's effectively over, but you still very much could have a say in the promotion race and who gets relegated. They were talking about some of your remaining fixtures, and you've got teams still at both, and it's not like you're playing equally mid-table teams. So there's still plenty to play for, if not for yourselves, other than pride, then for the opposition that you're playing against.
Yeah, I mean, because we've got Sutton coming up, which will be a huge game.
Yeah, take points off them, please.
I was born in Sutton, so they used to be my second team, but since they've joined Crawley's league, I can't stand them anymore. But yeah, we've got like
we've got a very similar thing with Swindon fans that support Cheltenham.
Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, I can't remember who else we've got. I think we've got. Yeah, I can't remember what other team, because we've got Salford as well. I can't remember where they are in the league, if they're up there for promotion or not. But yeah, I mean, in this league, anyone can beat anyone. And so often we look at the league table to think, oh, that's going to be a nice, easy win for us today. Where in reality, they're often the hardest matches. And
Craig, as Reuben says there, that the league it's one of those where it sounds a cliche, but anyone can beat anyone. And it also links into, I think, what Rich was saying earlier. You've got Forest Green have been dropping points for weeks, yet nobody can catch them, because it seems, especially with us, when we lose, everyone around us seems to drop points. And then when we win, nobody drops any points. So we never seem to get anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just classic inconsistency on our part. I mean, going back to what we were saying earlier about, we get a few wins, we think we can get automatic promotion, and then when we lose, it's like, oh, that's it, we're in, we're only going to make the playoffs. I think we're too inconsistent to make automatic promotion, even though it's still incredibly open there. Like you said, every team can beat every team, but the league's a bit distorted at the moment because there's quite a few teams below us that have got games in hand. And I know that they say it's better to have points on the board than to have to win them in hand. But
we love a cliche on this show.
Yeah, we love a cliche. It's all right if that's one or two, but when it's 3 or 4, like what Mansfield have got, and Salford have got 2 games in hand, and Port Vale have got 2 games in hand on us, it's we're not in as strong a position in 7th place as what we think.
No.
And we think we've got an easy run in as well towards the end of the season. It doesn't matter what the run in is. We beat Sutton, as we said, and then we go and lose to Crawley, which, all due respect to Reuben and Crawley fans, we weren't expecting that. But if we look at ourselves defensively, with the going back to the defence earlier, I didn't see the game on Saturday, so I don't know how the defence
for obvious
played.
reasons.
For obvious reasons, yeah, I was otherwise engaged, really. But you look at it, and you look at when we've kept clean sheets. The last 4 games we've kept clean sheets were against, and I've done a bit of a Ned report here. I apologise.
Good lad.
Yeah, so. We've kept clean sheets against Walsall, Stevenage, Scunthorpe and Carlisle. And where are they? All towards the bottom. So when we come up against a team that's got a pretty decent strike force or can score goals like Crawley, because I was looking at them, and you tend to score most of your games, especially recently, haven't you, Reuben? And we anyone who's semi-decent, we can see goals against them. We seem to struggle a bit more at the back. So that's another issue with us playing teams that are, say, got nothing to play for and are towards the bottom. We could end up, it could be more difficult than we think. I think we'll make the playoffs, but like I said, it's so open. Anyone can beat anyone, and it's still too early to tell how it's going to play out.
No, absolutely. Ben, I'm very interested in your views on the performance and the result as well. But given how vocal you were last week, and Reuben's not even begun to scratch the surface with some of the quotes he's got from you, do you want to send an apology out to Crawley supporters and the team for everything negative you said about them?
No offence meant, but yeah, we went into the game in good form and good confidence. And I remember going to Crawley a few years ago with Jack when he was quite young, and we sat in the tent end, the marquee by the side of the pitch.
The tent end.
And we had to crane to watch the game because the tent was in the way at the bottom. And we sort of looked to him and saw this, so we walked round the pitch, and we went and stood with the other Swindon fans at the side. It was that 1-1 draw, I think. Mark Richards scored. That was back then. So no offence, Reuben. Honestly, I can be quite dismissive.
Gets carried away.
There was nothing meant personal about your club, and you've done fantastically well. And
There was.
Ben, that's got to be the worst apology.
That's the worst apology I've ever heard in my life.
That sounds like an apology that my missus will give me. You know.
I will
will
take
say
that apology.
About the game itself. Now, I can be arrogant about it because I'm a fan. I'm not playing. I think the Swindon players went into that game with an arrogance, and I think the Crawley players went into that game with something to prove. And you could tell that. But all the shots we had, 20 on target, all the possession we had, like 65, 70%. Crawley did not concede any goals like we conceded. Like their first goal, there's no one within 8 yards of the player, and he gets a free header from like 7 yards out, whole goal shootout, all the time in the world. Crawley will never conceding a goal like that during the game, never, because they all work for each other, they all work their arse off, and they had a job to do, and they wanted it, and we just thought we'd turn up and win. That's why we lost. We did what we want. You know, we played pretty football midfield. It's the two bits that matter between both penalty boxes, and we were poor each side. And Crawley took their chances, and we were terrible. So they deserved to win at the end of the day. Fair play to them. So we were arrogant.
To be honest with you, Ben, I mean, like with teams like Crawley, they know fully well what we've got to play for. And for teams like Crawley, would probably just say, "Oh, you know what? Well, not exactly park the bus, but you know, set up to defend against us because they know what we're like." We've got one of the top goal scorers in the league, in McCurdy, who had about he must have at least 5-7 shots on goal on Saturday, and you know, I think I wouldn't say we went in arrogant. We played off well. We tried to play our football with some key players missing, but you know, I wouldn't say we went in with an arrogance. We wanted to win. We wanted to play football, and we knew that Crawley was another stepping stone in order for us to get to the position that we want to be in. I just don't think, I don't think Ghana's taken any team lightly in this league. Like I said earlier, these things happen, and you know, we lost to Salford a couple of weeks ago at home, which ideally we probably should have won. What? No, not probably. We should have won that. But you know, I don't think, and Garner said this in his press conferences. Now I still, after 9 months, still can't really read Garner. He's not had a past in, you know, talking to the media and stuff like that. He's obviously had a brief spell at Bristol Rovers where he's done that, but at Swindon, he's very difficult to read. So for you to say that we're going into games like this with an arrogance, I don't think that's quite true.
I think, no, when I say arrogance, I think if we match their work rate, we win the game.
But we had a better work rate than we had 65% possession.
There's two things here, guys. There's two things. So yes, Rich, I agree. I think we did match their work rate for most of the game. We just had lapses in concentration.
Yeah.
However, on the flip side, you can have all the possession in the world if you don't create the chances. And then again, we did create the chances. I mean, as I say, we had three cleared off the line. We were just abysmal at scoring.
But like I said, they obviously set up to defend, and whereas we didn't. We tried to play our game from the back, which, by the way, was another thing that we should not have been doing, because third goal, Jesus Christ! I mean,
yeah, that was embarrassing.
Really,
that was embarrassing.
About that, I literally just remembered what happened for the third goal, and now I really wish I didn't.
It was embarrassing.
Reuben, on the other hand, was just hilarious.
Can I just say, Rich? Possession doesn't equal work rate. You'll find that Crawley probably worked harder because they were off the ball and having to do more running around. I don't think just because we have 65%, 70% possession, that doesn't equal that, you know, mean that we had a stronger work rate or equaled Crawley.
But in all fairness, though, in that terms, then by the time that we had got to maybe the 65th, 70th minute, they should have been all worn out. They shouldn't have even, if we lost the ball in possession, how have they gone all the way down the other side of the pitch?
And that's kudos to them. That is kudos to them.
That is kudos to them. Fair play to them. But like I said, I mean, we would have worn them out. And although they can have the highest work rate in the world, but if we've got 65-70% possession, we should be taking our chances. We should be scoring.
Yes, that's the problem.
Like I said, they obviously set up to defend, and you know the outcome just obviously went in their favor and not ours. And like Ben said, fair play to them. They caught us out in possession a couple of times, which is really, really poor. Poor from us from the back. I won't actually. I'm not going to name players actually, because I think there was a collection of players in that back for that.
Conroy.
Do you know what? No, it wasn't. And do you know what? No, it wasn't Conroy. It was.
I'm not going to name players, but it wasn't Conroy.
No,
You named the players who it wasn't. All of them.
no. So Odomea's fault for the second goal. I would say a lot of people were blaming Conroy, and do you know what?
I think he's made a scapegoat a lot of the time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
You know what? No, I think it was more Walcott's decision. Conroy didn't really want that ball. He just literally, it was, oh God, 1 minute, was it? It was like the 90th minute or something like that.
He should have been hoofed up.
Should have been hoofed up. We were chasing the game. We wanted an equaliser, yet we were still, from the 88th minute, still trying to play from the back. It's like, what are we doing?
In terms of style of play and work rate, etc., I want to give Reuben a chance to come in and say from his perspective. But Rich, just one more thing before I do hand it over.
Yeah.
Looking for anything that resembles a positive. Did we at least win the Battle of the Pains?
Say that again.
Did we at least win the Battle of the Pains?
Oh shit! Yeah, they had a player called Jack Payne as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
What position does their Jack Payne? Is it the same position as ours?
Midfield, yeah.
Is it? I'd still say ours is better.
Reuben?
Rich, when you mentioned that third goal, I think that almost, for me, summed up the work rate. You had, what was it? I think one of you quoted he was 34 years old, Mark Marshall. He was decided that wasn't very good because he wasn't on our website. I don't
You
know if any
really
of
did
you
watch last week's episode.
He did. He did pen and paper like that.
if any of you have seen the size of Mark Marshall.
No, we said he's not very. We said he's not very good because he played for us. And then I said he's not on your website.
Mark Marshall isn't the fastest of guys in the world, but he easily got to the ball far quicker than I think your right back, whatever, to be able to then cross it in for Hutchinson to score. I mean, it's one of those games where I feel like there could have been a lot more goals, because you had at least two that were cleared off the line.
Oh yeah, we could have won that probably 7-3.
Yeah, but also our last two goals, there's quite a lot of luck really in it. One coming off the crossbar right into the path of one of your former trialists, Tom Nichols, who again one of you said wasn't very good because he was a trialist.
That sounds like Ben.
That wasn't me, actually. That wasn't me.
And then the second one, and then the third goal for us. I don't know if it actually went underneath the legs of your goalkeeper or what, but it had a really awkward kind of bounce right by the feet, which again, had it been any other day, could quite easily have been saved or completely missed the goal. But I think that just kind of sums up football. Sometimes it goes against us and we complain. Sometimes it works for us and we're happy.
To be honest with you, Reuben, we've had our fair share of luck, to be honest with you. I mean, Bradford away, we got a last-minute penalty, literally last kick of the game. And then the following week, we played Oldham, 96th minute, to shit us a win against our former manager, Sheridan. So, call him a manager anyway. But, we've had our fair share of luck ourselves. So, to be honest with you, like you say, that's the way the league goes. And that's, especially League Two goes. And it is a shame, and these things happen, but I just don't think that. I think fans' optimism has to still stay there, stay with the club, because we are in those touching distances. We can see it. We just got to push on as a team now.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, because I wasn't able to actually go there because I'm at uni, but I saw the extended highlights. And I mean, Johnny Williams, for you lot, he's quite a result to have been able to have signed him, but he's definitely a pantomime villain and the type of player that every away team hates.
He needs to cut that shit out as well.
He needs to stop hitting the floor.
He needs to stop fucking diving.
What for those that were there, what was your views on the penalty?
It wasn't
cool.
No, you can tell by the reaction.
You can tell it wasn't a penalty.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. James just got up and didn't even look at the ref. It wasn't a penalty. It wasn't a penalty.
Christian, I wondered there was a couple of other points I wanted to make before we moved on from the Crawley game, but obviously you've not had your chance to have your say on the performance and result.
I've been sat in my mum's kitchen for 20 minutes and she's just turned around and said to me, "They're not letting you talk tonight."
Please pass on my apologies. We don't want a baby boy thinking that he doesn't get his say.
Thank you.
So now you can have your say.
I got nothing to say. What's the question?
Your thoughts on the Crawley result?
Yeah, it's going back to what Ben said earlier about the arrogance, and I agree with whoever disagreed. It's not arrogance, Ben. It's a willingness to go out and fight and get a result, and that's not what they did that game. It's almost like they rely on McCurdy to G him up and get the rest of players up for it. If I don't know, you have 5 or 6 players every so often on an away game, just not at the races, and that was it with Crawley. But I'll keep repeating it. If we were up in the playoffs at the end of the season, it's you got a puncher's chance, haven't you? So just write it off and go again. I don't think there's not enough talent in this squad for me to really care too much about them. And I think in this but they're all famous in Swindon. They're famous in Swindon, aren't they? You all think they're bloody Premier League footballers, but no one outside of Swindon even knows who they are. No, it's true. It's true. And
I disagree.
I disagree. Jack Payne's quite well known. Johnny Williams is quite well known. You've got quite a few players. Louis Barry's quite a big name about quite a few people who know about their football.
I wouldn't have said Louis Barry, but
no, I wouldn't have done
either. No, I'd say Louis Barry. Anyone who knows much about the young players at Villa, Louis Barry's made quite some waves.
What I would say, and again, I don't want to say this and it come across disrespectfully, but even watching the game in defeat, there's not a single player in that Crawley team I think makes the Swindon team, in my opinion.
Reuben.
But that, again, I think that sums up the point Reuben made, that's football. Sometimes that happens. I think, again, a conversation me and Joe had on our way to Craig's wedding is how good a job is Garner doing? And I said there's 2 elements of how you look at that. I think in terms of rejuvenating the squad, etc., and how he's handling certain things, and even the criticism that we've thrown about, is there a plan B and C over the last sort of 6-8 weeks? We've started to see that to an extent. So from that perspective, he's doing a good job. But then I also said, with the tools available to him, I think, especially with how tight this league is, Swindon should not be where they are. They should be second. They should be challenging for first. We should not be in a cluster of 9 teams separated by about 4 points. And there is a certain level of criticism, I think, that can be leveled, that with the players available, there is enough talent there. If it's an inconsistency issue, that has to be thrown at Garner. Christian doesn't look like he agrees with that at all.
Don't forget, I watched the League Two champions last season, mate, and they certainly had a lot stronger players, and they had a game plan. They invited the press and then went round into midfield, bang, and just destroyed teams. This team is a good playoff team. It's a good top 10 team. It's not anywhere near an automatic promotion contender. They're not consistent enough. Then there's not enough.
Like Ben Tozer.
But I don't really, I don't mind. I don't mind as long as we finish in the playoffs this year, because hopefully in the summer we'll have a clear out, and some of these players will be gone, and we'll get some. We'll get a decent squad in. So I've written this season off, but this squad is nowhere near good enough for top three.
You don't write this season off yet. There's far too much still to play for. Woody, just one more thing, and I know you were listening to it, so perhaps I don't know whether it would have come across as much. One thing I felt watching it was that the outlet on the left-hand side was evidently struggling because we didn't have a natural left footer. And it coincides actually with, I saw earlier that Tomlinson won, I think it was Young Player of the Month award for League Two. And again, a conversation I was having on Saturday was, if he was playing, I think it's a different game entirely, because the amount of time it was going out to left and then being cut back in onto the right foot to either attempt to swing across in, etc. Whereas if you have that natural left footer, then the delivery is quicker and offers a different option.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I remember when Tomlinson got injured, and I said that he was going to be our biggest miss in every game this season, especially because we play for, like, whether it's a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 or whatever, there is an expectation on the fullbacks to push forward.
Yep.
Rob Hunt can do it really well when he's on the right, but when he's on the left, he struggles because, like you say, he's right-footed, and I think we missed that because naturally, as you guys will know, you don't need to be a tactician to know it. It's better to have a wider player so they can stay wide with their stronger foot, and we were going to miss that. And Ellis, he's not a left back in my opinion anyway, and I think he had been doing quite well in centre midfield, that there was no reason to put him out at left back. It's a difficult one because you just think that we could sit here and say we missed this player, we missed that player, but then, and I'm going to sound like I'm sticking up for Christian here, but then at the same time we're saying we've got enough talent in the squad to go in the top three. So it's my view on it is our best 11 is a top 3 11. Our squad for me is a playoff squad. We don't have, as we've proven, we don't have the depth. We don't have another left back. When Harry McCurdy and Louis Barry were out, we saw how much of an impact that had on us.
Reed as well, he's big miss.
Yeah, Reed was a big miss. But again, that proves the depth. Ryan East and Reed were brought in kind of almost as replacements for Anthony Grant, and Reed has excelled what we expected of him. He's a lot better than we thought he was going to be. East is nowhere near it. East is a little bit like Jaden Mitchell-Lawson for me. He'll work his ass off, but he hasn't got the quality. He just hasn't got the quality. So, like I say, I think, I still think we're within that shout. I still believe that it was whoever won out of us and Sutton can be in the conversation. But it's just a bit of a longer shot now. But I do disagree and agree with members of the panel that, first 11 definitely strong enough for the top 3, but we haven't had our fittest first 11 for quite a while now. So have we got the squad? We're going to have to shithouse some wins that we're probably not going to expect to win, and it will be against those teams that have got nothing to play for.
Just one other thing on the game, which has had mixed views online. I'm just interested. You don't have to go into depth with your answer. A simple yay or nay, really, if you like. The videos going around of the fans with the Reed shirts, and I actually thought it was very clever, quite funny, and I appreciated it. But it seemed to get a fair bit of negativity from our own fans, which surprised me. So I'll start in the order as you appear on my screen. Craig, have you seen the videos? And if so, did you think it was cringy or a bit creative and a bit funny?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit cringy, but in a funny way. If self-deprecating, and with those fans weren't taking it seriously, and I thought it was quite funny. I don't really see what the big deal is, but it's just comedy's subjective, isn't it? So some people are going to like it, some people aren't. I don't, there's a few that have sort of like overreacted. There's a few reactions that are a little bit over the top, but you're always going to get that on social media, aren't you? But I don't think it's a big deal. It's quite funny, and fair play to the lads who did it.
Ben?
I thought it was funny. I didn't see a problem with it at all. And it got the fans singing. It got a good atmosphere going. I think do it more often. I think brilliant.
Rich?
Yeah, it was a bit of entertainment. It was actually quite funny, actually, because before the game, so outside of the Crawley Stadium, they've got AstroTurf. They got some.
Yeah, the goals. Yeah.
Yeah, and the video that I took of the Louis Reed's literally just going on the pitch. They actually had a six-a-side prior to the game. I actually found it quite funny, to be honest, because they were absolutely shit, but obviously it was a bit of fun, wasn't it? It was just a little bit of fun at the end of the day. No, and you know what, in the stadium, like Ben said, it got everybody singing, like, sort of thing. We sing that song every game anyway, so for 12 lads just you know, have a bit of fun, you know, go out, just literally just having a bit of fun. I love it. And on the way back, my mate was driving. On the way back, we passed so they got it was Great Western Reds, I think it is, and they own the Stagecoach bus that goes to all the away games. So we just passed that, and literally they were all in their kits, and I thought it was funny. I thought it was a bit of a laugh.
Woody?
Yeah, it was just a bit of fun, wasn't it? It was, you know, that's what it was. Anybody who's criticising it, really, just get a life and get on with it. It was a bit of fun. I hate the song as well, so it kind of put a smile on the song a little bit. I don't know if it's just because it does my head in, because you can't have 12 players on the football pitch. So, but yeah, it was just a bit of fun. Fair play to them, and I feel sorry for them because they probably went out with having a right old good laugh about it, and then we end up losing. So, oh well, fair play to them. It was a bit of fun.
Christian? Are you still there?
I think he's gone off after this.
Oh no, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
Mute.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah, it was good. It was fun. It was funny. I didn't realise it was at Crawley though. I didn't know where this was going on, but yeah. Also, it's just outside the ground, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was funny. You'd have to be a bit of a boring ass to have a moan or say anything bad about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's entertainment at the end of the day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I prefer Anthony Grant, but
Reuben, it's only fair. Before we move on to, you know, not talking about Crawley anymore, if we let you have the final say and a final sort of 2 minutes of gloating.
And you can repeat as many Ben quotes as you want.
Leave mine out of it though. Leave mine out of it.
We're already making the plans to tie him up on the magic roundabout for people to throw stuff at him.
Fifey, can you give him longer than 2 minutes?
I think he's going to need it.
No, I think the only thing I can't want to just about Crawley is a manager who I think Benny describes as a bit of a dick.
Standard.
Like, that doesn't change, to be fair.
I think even non-Crawley fans now always want to watch Crawley press conferences after the game to see what Yems has to say about the match. And I think we often complain in managers that they're often not honest enough, and they just kind of come up with X excuse, Y excuse. But here we've got a manager who is not afraid to say feels, and we are getting complaints about it. I think it'd be good to see more managers like that. He is very old school, and I personally really, really like him. I know the media guys at Crawley also absolutely love him, even though they are young, and a lot of people are worried about them because they do often get the grunt of all the complaints post-match. But they understand, John. But yeah, I just wish Swindon all the best for next season, for the rest of the season. I'd quite like you lot to stay down just because it's another local game, and because there aren't many local games in League Two.
And we have a truly atrocious record against you.
Yes. And with the likes of AFC Wimbledon coming down, hopefully, maybe Gillingham, it'd be nice to have a bit more of a southern contingent going into next season and a few more local games to get to. But no, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thanks, Reuben.
Thanks very much.
All right.
Let's move on to something a bit happier, Woody, and the women's teams at all levels this weekend certainly done the club proud, didn't they? Should we start with your very own and a congratulations, because some silverware in the cabinet?
I'm not sure.
Even Alexa wants to know.
Alexa
about it.
wanted to get involved.
Yeah, no, absolutely buzzed.
So you
with
said
that.
Alexa.
Absolutely buzzed with that, to be totally honest. You know, I think it's weird though, because I've been doing adult football for so long, to then go and do youth football. It just feels weird that we could win the league and then I can't go out in the piss afterwards. You know, so I can. It'd just be really lonely, wouldn't it? But no, I was well chuffed. We had a really good game. So you know, and it's the girls have had, as you guys know, have had such a disrupted season with COVID and teams pulling out because they thought that we were some elite squad that was going to, you know, tear them apart and be really arrogant. But it was almost the complete opposite. And I really wanted to do it last Saturday, because the Saturday just gone, because they
Oh no.
Woody's Wi-Fi. Woody's Wi-Fi.
Oh no, is it making a dare in return? Am I back?
You're back now, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
You really wanted to do it last Saturday because?
Oh, because they were second in the league. So Trowbridge is second in the league. And yeah, so it made, we could have done it in a couple of weeks' time if we had lost. But, you know, you don't want a team that we've beat twice already this season. You don't want to win it at their place. You want to win it against a team that's challenging you at the top of the table. So yeah, really complete performance. The girls were pretty nervous for the first 10 minutes, but then we just dominated the game after that. So,
and am I right thinking you've also got a potential, you know, there's still cup action potentially and a final on the horizon? Yeah,
so we got a semi-final this Saturday. There's not many teams in the cup, so that's why straight into semi-finals pretty much. But we got a bye for the first round. But you know, at the end of the day, like I say, we put this team together at the beginning of the season, so hopefully to have 2 trophies in the cabinet at the end of it, that's brilliant. But yeah, and then it just, for me, it was just a fantastic weekend for the women's side, because I had a connection in all of the wins. So it was and then obviously the development, my top scorer, who also plays for the development team, she scored the winner in their game, which extends their lead at the top of the table. And this week I was with the first team. Sorry, that's one of our doors in here.
Is there more doors or what is it? More doors or wheels?
We haven't got many wheels in the house. So it's fine. Yeah, and then the first team. So I was with the first team this week because the goalkeeping coach was unavailable, and it was against Exeter. It was the rescheduled game.
Yep. And there goes Woody's Wi-Fi again.
Am I back?
Yep.
Strange how it started.
And he's gone again. Come on, Woody, you've got this.
Right. Obviously we lost to them 4-1 a while back, and then we beat them 3-0 at the weekend. And so it's the second clean sheet that the keeper's kept this season. So I'm going to take some kudos for that and start spreading the hashtag to get the goalkeeper coach sacked.
Well, look, I just want to, while you're taking all congratulations that's due, Woody, I want to read a comment that's come from friend of the pod, Claire. When I asked for any comments and stuff for this week's episode, she replied saying, "Huge congrats to the women's under-16s this weekend. Amazing achievement, and a special mention to the women's media personnel for keeping us so well updated throughout all the other women's games too." And
that was his job as well.
So yeah, there was one in particular which got sent to me. It's almost as if Woody was particularly proud of the use of the term continental long ball. And then when I said that's amazing, who's doing this? He pointed out he was doing the posts himself.
Yeah, that was quite funny. It was a great ball, to be fair. It was a cracking ball, but it was just typical. I just went, because we're not normally a continental long ball side, if you like.
Hashtag hoof.
Yeah.
That's all you needed to put on the end was hashtag hoof.
I said to the guys on the bench, I went, that was a great. They just all cracked up.
His Wi-Fi went again.
But
Woody, can I ask a question? With you being Wiltshire League champions, what does that mean for your team going forward? Do you step up to another regional league, or is that as high as you can You
So
can go.
there is we're counted there. There isn't really a tier structure in kids football. There
Right.
is like the academy status, and you could argue that going into a JPL league is seen as a progression, but it's not a natural progression. We're going into an under-18s league next season, so that will be the challenge. Is I've got under 15s and 16s in my squad at the moment. They're going to be playing 2 years up, so that's going to be the challenge for them really next season.
Challenge.
And you'll be coaching that team.
As it currently stands, yeah.
They're not going to sack him.
So that'll be like a more regional league, will it? With
So the one we're
going to
aiming for is
18s?
Thames Valley. So it goes like, I think, Maidenhead, and we'll be the furthest team west. So, and then it can go down south towards Southampton kind of way. So it's not really a regional, but it's
more than what you're doing at the moment
Yeah.
then, and that'll be good for the girls, obviously, a more broader experience for them.
Yeah, exactly. It gets us closer to some of the academy sides, so like Wickham and things like that, who aren't an academy, but they get a lot of academy fallouts. So yeah, it'd be quite good. It'd be good.
And so you've touched on the other results from the weekend there, and I'm just trying to think back to last week's episode, because you pointed out that basically each of the teams, I think, the result meant something. Obviously, your team won their trophy. If I've got this right, is it that the first team or the senior team, their result means that they can't finish sort of bottom? They're like the top of the bottom half, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, well, that we won't necessarily yet be top of the bottom half because we lost on Thursday. We had a game on Thursday night as well. We lost in the dying seconds 4-3 to Maidenhead. Literally, we were 3-1 up with about 15 minutes to go, I think. Yeah, so Rich, you were there because we were both babysitting the manager's baby. So in terms of the development team, it probably meant almost as much because it opens that gap between them and second place. But first team, I think really first team is just about pushing as high as they can now. And Exeter was completely unexpected result, if I'm brutally honest. You know, we went into it quite tactically in terms of trying to, be stubborn, and but we ended up completely dominating the game. And so that's Exeter blamed it a little bit on the pitch, but
how did my new favourite player play?
She played for the development this week. I think she got in a scrap actually. So I'm waiting to have a look at the video. I'm sure she got in a scrap. But, yeah.
I could get into this women's football, mate, after watching Vic on his supporters club podcast earlier. Sorry, I won't say anything else.
Anyway,
Cheers.
Congratulations to your side, Woody, and well done to all the other sides for their results this weekend as well. We did have a couple of questions sent in for the mailbag as well, which I will just load up. One of them actually based off something I put in our WhatsApp group and then sent a similar post via my own personal Twitter. And I just want to make sure I get this correct. It was from, where is it? Amuse yourselves while I find it.
Rochdale or Tim
Here we go. It was from Gavin who saw my post about the Big Tasty with bacon being back at McDonald's, and then he sent in what McDonald's item would best describe each of the Fools Rush In panelists. So needless to say, I've been having a think about this, but I don't know if any of you want to take a stab, pick any of the panelists, whether they're here or not, at random, and say what McDonald's item you think they would be.
Well, I said it in the group, but yeah, one show, a McFlurry, because they're never on, they're never available, and milkshakes.
I would describe Ben as mozzarella sticks because it's too cheesy.
On behalf of the viewers, Christian is the Filet-O-Fish because no one wants it.
I'm not sure that was quite what was said, is it, Fifey? I think you're being a
More
bit
or
harsh
less.
there.
More or less.
I'm not sure that
Brutal.
was what was said.
Oh,
Any others?
Craig's the big tasty, obviously.
Obviously.
Obviously, big tasty.
Christian, got one maybe for Kieran?
Whopper with cheese. Whopper with cheese. Oh no.
Your Whopper.
That's-
Just
Chicken
you to go
nugget.
for the Burger King item.
But that's something Kieran would do.
That's something. Kieran's the Whopper.
How's Rich and Woody got away with not being described as anything? And Ned. They've all got away with
what
it.
can we say?
Well, what do you think you are, Rich, if you were a McDonald's item?
God, I don't know. I'd say I'm probably a Happy Meal. Very happy, aren't I?
Oh, that's cute.
Ned's going to be probably like Big Mac, the substantial one amongst us with his Ned report. Yes, no? Okay. excellent. Woody, go on then. You can pick your own item. What are you going to be off the
I don't know.
McDonald's menu?
I'm the carrot sticks, completely pointless.
Well, thank you very much for the question. I hope we've kind of roundabout answered it anyway. And then Oaks Road also sent one in, and he actually sent it in earlier than the announcement today about the county ground, but it links into what we've been talking about in recent weeks anyway. And he said, with the redevelopment of the county ground and the town end in particular, which has a capacity of 1846, we don't fill now, his view would be better to keep it around 1800 and use the space available to provide decent facilities, safe standing, acoustics to enhance the atmosphere, etc., views. Now, that kind of matches a lot of what we said in recent weeks. Christian, I know you've been particularly vocal on that. So on the town end specifically, would you agree with what he said there?
No, look, you build it and they will come. You know what I mean? It's you've got to get the infrastructure in place, and then a lot of clubs that Craig, you'll back me up here. Ben, you'll back me up here. A lot of clubs who in 1990 you would class as probably smaller than us, or some maybe on a par. Clubs like Reading and Bristol City and Hull City, Cardiff, Swansea, clubs like that.
Basically, anyone that ends in city.
Anyone, clubs like that. You'd have said in 1990 to them, "Let's build a bigger stadium." They'd have had the same like inbred fans like us saying, "Oh, we don't need it. We can't even fill this one at the moment." Well, clubs like Reading and Bristol City and they have thrown caution to the wind, and they've seen the crowds have gone up. When we played at Chelsea, Premier League game at Chelsea, Premier League match at Chelsea, Swindon, there was 12,000 people there. You know, let's not talk about what we're doing now. Oh, look at us, little old freaking Swindon, 1,800. Let's look what we do in the future. Something I didn't mention on that pod the other day about how we get people into the grounds and everything. I went to Cardiff City last week, courtesy of Claire, who used to work at the club. Thank you, Claire. And I went in they've got like a Ninian lounge there. And if anyone's been to Anfield or where the new stand is, and this Ninian lounge is the same sort of thing but on a smaller scale. What they're doing in the infrastructure behind the stands, which gets people in the ground drinking, and they have all this street food and that kind of thing, you know. And you know, sometimes they have an entertainment in there. They have someone in there singing with a guitar or whatever. They have ex-players walk around these things. Things like that have to go into the stand, and that's what gets people in. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here because we're talking about what size the town end needs to be. The town end needs to be, you know, as big as it needs to be. The ground needs to hold at least 25,000 because you don't know what's round the corner. When Lou Macari took over and we're in the 4th division, or it didn't happen under him, but it bloody came close. We got to the playoffs and we could have gone up, you know, straight up, and then we'd have been playing, you know, top flight football in front of the maximum we could hold then was 17,000, I think, which is the same as we had in the Premier League. But I think now you look at some of the crowds we're getting now, and they're better than, or on a par than what we were getting in the second tier. So it makes you wonder, and this might be a chat for another day, a discussion for another day. What sort of crowds do you think we would get in the Championship now? Now, if we had teams, decent teams coming to Swindon, like who are the big teams in the Championship at the moment?
Fulham.
Maybe not Fulham, but I think we would be a possibly.
It would get between 18 and 20.
I don't think we get that many, Ben. We get about 13 to 14 on a regular basis, as opposed to the 9,000 we used to get.
I think you get 4,000 away fans, and I think we get about 14,000 home.
But
in the Championship,
the away fans don't travel that well in that league, mate. Stoke took hardly. I know it was the Wednesday, and Stoke took hardly any to.
No, but
until financially, until like the concept is proven, I just don't believe that we need to rush into anything. We need to build a team.
Oh, we do. Oh, we do, because we had so many false promises and false forms. Let's not sit there and be like Granny and Granddad and say, we don't need that. There's nothing wrong with what we got. No, you've got to build it, because we've spoken about it for so many 30 odd years. Get on with it. Let's not say, let's wait till we've bought the next fucking Jack Payne or wherever your hero is, and let we've got a team ready to compete in the Championship. No. Get the infrastructure in place, and then the demand and the expectation will be there, and this bunch of bums might actually do something about it and push on in the league.
I agree.
I mean, I think what I'll do is change Oaks Road's question slightly. Like, what can we do for the near future? I'm not sure if that's exactly what he means, but what can we do with that space for the near future? Because at the moment, it's obviously not doing anything. Can we? I'll tell you what Crawley did on Saturday.
What Crawley did was have almost as many away fans as there was home fans.
Yeah, but a quarter of the stand that we were in were covered with flags. So
right.
why can't we do that? Because we do that with the Stratton Bank stand. Why can't we do that with the town end? Because there's still a massive gap where there is nothing, and it just looks rubbish with just empty seats there. I might as well fill it with like a flag or something like that.
I mean,
but I don't know.
There's no such thing as a bad suggestion, I suppose.
But this would be just like for the near future, just for the short-term future, until like things start to come in place. So I mean, obviously with the announcement, there's obviously still so many hurdles to go with this buying the ground stuff at the moment. So until that all comes in place, until like the plans are cemented, there might as well be something there that if it's not going to be filled for whatever reason, just because 3/4 of the town end is full. It is full on a match day, but there's that quarter of the stadium, of the stand that just looks bare and rubbish. So I don't know. I don't know. That would just be my suggestion. But I mean, obviously,
Well, you've obviously not been on for the last couple of weeks, Rich, but I know that you've sort of watched episodes and picked up on stuff that we've said, because you're still engaged in the chat and that. So we've obviously been focusing a lot recently on the redevelopment and what could happen, what should happen, what would improve atmosphere at the county ground, etc. And I'm just interested what your views are on some of those topics. How do we improve the current atmosphere at the county ground? What does need the immediate attention?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, really. I mean, we do try our best, but even it's difficult because when we're playing well, when we're winning and stuff like that at home this season, we haven't been consistent enough, and therefore it has been very, very quiet in that area. But it's the same away games. Like if we're winning and if we're playing really, really well, like, so I'll bring back to Port Vale, because me and Woody were at that game and we didn't non-stop singing, and Scunthorpe away at the start of the season, we didn't stop singing for the whole game. And but I think I don't know, people, because Townend historically is the stand that does most of the singing, and I just feel as if that, I don't know if people are more engaged in the actual football itself at the moment, or whether or not they're bothered about singing. I don't think it's about that. But it's I don't know. It's one I think will overcome itself in the future.
If punditry and podcasting doesn't grow into a fully fledged media career for you, Rich, I definitely think you've got a future as a politician, because you've managed to dance around answering that question.
Not a fucking chance, mate. Not a chance.
You've managed to dance around answering that question in about 10 different ways.
You got two.
Vote Rich. Vote Rich. Vote
For those
Rich.
of us that know Rich, that is the biggest insult you could probably ever give him, I think.
Yeah, that is literally the biggest. No, to be honest with you, Fifey, I don't really know, but
You could have just said that to begin with.
I wanted to try and think of an answer, but
I applaud the effort for trying, because I didn't brief you that I was going to ask you that question, so I applaud that you tried.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, but the good thing is that our away support is still very good at the moment, and I don't know, maybe something like that needs to be replicated at home. What that might be, I'm not entirely sure. So I think it's something that needs to be looked into, and I'm sure it will do, especially in the near future. So and hopefully we go up. Maybe that might be another thing that might help it. I don't know. We'll see.
Craig, do you want to come in then on the point that Oakhurst Road made about what's best to do with the Townend short to mid term and then longer term?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll move on.
I was just going to say, can I give a shout out to Oakhurst Road? It was nice to meet him, Bradford, the other day.
Yes,
the other week even. So
you did.
Yeah, it was nice. So shout out to you, Oakhurst Road.
I think though, in all seriousness, Fifey, I kind of agree with Christian with what he was saying earlier. It's better to get the development done now in the long term. You can, if it's money that you're investing into the club and into the future, and it's best to do it now. Sort of future proof. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what we're doing. Like I say, you never know what comes around the corner. Whether we could ever get enough to fill a whole ground of 25,000, I don't know. We never got anywhere near 15,000 a week regular when we was in the top two tiers. So it's difficult. But saying that, up until this season, if you look at our crowds we're getting, there is a good chance we could sell, if that trend continues, there's a good chance we could sell out the county ground every week in the championship if that trend continued into the championship. But I've always said it, there's always been a certain apathy towards the club within the town. I think there's more sort of Swindon Town supporters from the surrounding areas than from within the town itself, if you look at it sort of proportionally to the population, because people would rather go to London to watch Premiership teams and things like that. So it's a difficult one to sort of nail in one go, I think.
Yes, Christian.
On that point, I'm working at the moment. I'm working away in Cardiff, and I've also worked 4 years in Bristol too. And surprisingly, it's exactly the same in those two cities. I work with like 8 or 9 chefs where I am at the moment. None of them support Cardiff City. They all love the football. They don't support Cardiff for shit. And it was the same at Bristol City and Rovers. You had a fair scattering of City and Rovers, but if a Bristol City game was on Sky in my pub, you wouldn't get half as many as if a Premier League team like Man United or Chelsea or Arsenal were on. It's not just a Swindon thing. I think unless you're the top of the top, it's like that in every town. Well, apart from Burnley, I reckon Burnley, because
Burnley and Blackburn would be exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, they all seem to look. That's crazy, the proportion of fans to the size of the town. But yeah, even Cardiff and Bristol, there's not really that much love for their local clubs.
No, it is a valid point, I think, but going back to what was said earlier, I am a believer that as you move up the ladder, more people will come. So I think it was you asked, Christian, if Swindon were in the Championship now, would we see a significant difference in crowd? Yes, I think we would. Both from a total attendance, because the teams we'd be playing would bring more fans, and I also think Swindon would house more fans on a more regular basis. Guys, one last question before we finish, and the regulars will be happy that this is a shorter than usual episode. We've got no fixture this weekend to preview. We are hoping to bring some additional content this weekend to fill the gap that match day doesn't have on Saturday. The remaining fixtures, I'm not going to say how many points necessarily, or I'm not going to ask you to predict scores and that kind of thing, but I've just posted to you all the remaining fixtures. Realistically, is there enough points there to get promoted? How many do you think it will take? How many do you think we will claim? Because was it Woody, I think, said earlier, or it might have been you, Rich, that there'll always be upsets, because you can look at the list and think, you know what, we could probably win all of them on our day. We're not going to, quite clearly. So I'll go in the order that you appear on my screen. So Craig, again, as you're looking at the fixtures there, how many points? I mean, to put it in perspective, I said to Joe on Saturday, we will win more of those remaining games than we won't. And that, that's draws and losses. We will win more than we draw and lose combined, in my opinion. What's your thoughts, Craig? Have we got enough points to get promoted automatically? Yeah, of course. There's enough points there that we can, but I don't think we will. Rochdale is still not safe, so I don't think we'll get a win against them. Newport, that's going to be a tough game. We'll probably get a result against Harrogate. Orient have been shit this season. Richie Wellens, though. Well, yeah. Hartlepool, they haven't got anything to play for. I've said Hartlepool's the one that I'm probably most concerned about.
Yeah, they're in good form.
They haven't got anything to play for, but that doesn't mean anything, as I was saying earlier. Forest Green at home, obviously their form's been inconsistent so far, so that could be a tough one. But again, we can win it. Barrow are fighting for their lives at the moment, and Walsall are pretty much safe. I think now. By the way, am I right in thinking Barrow have just got rid of Cooper and brought in Phil Brown?
Yeah,
mutual consent. I didn't know Phil Brown's been appointed, but
yeah, I believe Phil Brown's been appointed today.
The whole Cooper thing, I think, is I know it's mutual consent, but I think it must be down to the charges he's got, because I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was still into a 7-game touchline ban.
Yeah, but if he was
up to the point that he's just left on mutual consent, so.
But if he was winning games, it might have been a bit different. But
for sure, yeah, absolutely, it doesn't stop.
But yeah, that's a fair point, Rich. Yeah. Sorry, I digressed. Fifey. I think we could get enough points to make the playoffs, but that's it. Okay, Rich.
Yeah, no, I was just going through the fixtures as well. Like Rochdale, I'd like to think that we could probably get a result there. Newport. Historically, I think at home we don't tend to do very well against Newport. Although I'm sure McCurdy's going to have an absolute field day to play against Voldemort again. Harrogate away, we've never been to Harrogate, so we don't know what it's like. But I know we'll probably bring a sellout away crowd there as well. I think that's what our fans are really looking forward to, especially the ones that tip the football stadiums off the ground. Orient at home, I think will be a draw. Wellens, I think, coming back to the state to the county ground, he'll wanna get a result. But also, I think what usually tends to happen with the teams that he just takes over at the end of the season, they tend to pick up a lot of draws. He did with us that first season that he was with us, did that with Oldham, and he's starting to do that really with Orient. So I think we'll get a draw there. Hartlepool, I'd like to say that we'll get a win. Forest Green, again, historically at home, we've been a bit touch and go. Barrow, and then Walsall, I like to think that we're going to bring a massive crowd there. So, hi, City.
It's not sooty.
I don't care.
Christian?
Mute.
I'm not going through all the results. I've just done a quick toss up in my head. I've gone-
Christian, you had the ideal opportunity there to say, just bear with me.
Oh no!
God.
Damn, sorry.
And,
I went
and
through
you
the-
said Ben was cheesy.
I went through the list
I've changed
quickly,
that
and
now.
I've totted up 13 points out of there's 24 available there. I think we'll get 13 points. What are we on at the moment? Where will that take us? 30 on to what we got now.
13 won't be anywhere near enough.
Yeah, no,
What
that
are
would
we
be
on
less
now?
than 80.
69.
I think we're on 61 at the moment.
We're on 61 at the moment.
Yeah,
I'll give it
That takes us
74.
to 74, which is
yeah, that would.
Rough
borderline
about seventh.
playoffs.
Borderline seventh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Borderline playoffs. That's what I think.
I think it'll be
I think-
touch and go. Yeah.
I think there's 13 points there, and a lot of the ones, Barrow's going to be a tough one. Like second last game of the season, depending on what they need.
Okay. Ben?
I think we need 20, 21 points for automatics. We won't get that.
No, we'll get close to that.
No, I think that's what we need for automatics, though. And 20 to 21 points for automatics. I think there's some teams with extra are going to be quite tough. You got some lot of teams with games in hand who will end up pulling up and pulling clear.
True.
So I think we need to win a lot, and I think 15, maybe 14 for playoffs for seventh. I think we'll get them. I think Rochdale, Tim Pop non-league club will be all right. But no, we've got look. At the end of the day, we've got injuries coming back. We have got Tomlinson coming back, which is huge. We have got Barry coming back, which is huge. We've got Phillies in midfield. Gladwin's coming back. It's going to help.
Gladwin.
Gladwin. What did I say?
You said Gladwin.
Gladwin, yeah, Gladwin coming back will do a job. He'll fill in. He'll give Aguilar a bit of a rest more than anything, and we can play. Jack Payne in midfield again a bit more. I think what's going to do us in. I don't think scoring goals is going to be the problem. I think keeping clean sheets might cost us this season. We don't keep near enough. We can concede stupid goals like we did on Saturday.
And keep McCurdy under your 15 yellow cards.
Yeah, but we got a shout. But we need to go some to get automatics now. That was a massive blow for those chances on the weekend. We needed to win that one. But I think we can get playoffs, and then it's a 1 in 4 chance.
Okay. Woody?
I think we're going to get 19 out of the 24. I think we're going to draw at home to Newport, and we're going to lose away to Hartlepool, but we'll win the rest.
Oh, I hope we do.
Well, so that's a bold prediction.
I will say, on paper, if you play all those games out, the only games we're not favourites for would be possibly Forest Green. That's the only game we wouldn't be favourite for, because Newport away from home, we should beat them. Everyone else on paper we should beat.
I think we're going to shit house a win against Barrow at home. Just because Phil Brown, he'll probably play a typical Sheridan. Because I was talking to one of my mates earlier, it was like, obviously Sheridan's much worse, but Phil Brown isn't much fucking better. And they're both very old-fashioned, old style of football. I mean, we saw that with Brown at Swindon. So hopefully we do. Well, I don't hope. I hope we batter them. But I think in terms of what we saw against Oldham the other week, I think it'll be another one of those kind of games. Like, we'll have to really grind and get a result.
I think, yeah, he might have that effect that Sheridan had, but then Sheridan's getting found out for actually not being a very good manager now. Oldham, he's not sparing the spin.
But also, I think we do better under pressure as well. So like teams that are facing, that have something to play for as well as we do, we seem to come out on top.
That's it. Well, we could beat Forest Green and Newport and then lose to Barrow easily. Yeah. yeah,
Yeah.
go with that.
Listen, gents, unless any of you have anything else, I think that brings tonight's episode to a close. As I said, we're hoping to do a bonus episode later this week to give you some content over the weekend. So I hope to see as many of you there as possible. Rich, I wish you a speedy recovery from the dreaded COVID.
Cheers, mate.
Craig, congratulations again for getting married at the weekend. And to the rest of you, Woody, congratulations for your success this weekend as well.
Thank you.
Ben, I presume you must have had something good happen to you this weekend, so well done.
Thank you, mate.
And same to you, Christian, as you've been muted now. But listen, thank you very much for your time this evening. Thank you as well to Reuben, who had to leave halfway through. But from me and the rest of the guys, until next time, goodbye.